In A Song of Ice and Fire, we've heard of 29 dragons from throughout the annals of history. Some of these are quite old and ancient and have storied histories in the past of Westeros. 3 of them are still alive today in the present of the main series. And today, it's going to be a bit of a more casual video. This is this week's bonus video, so to speak, and I'm going to be going through and giving my thoughts and ranking each of these dragons because each of them is kind of unique and has a story behind it. And I just wanted to do this because I thought it'd be a fun little video to do just in the middle of the week. So, yeah. If you enjoyed this, be sure to like and subscribe, and let's get into the list of dragons. Let past Quinn talk a bit.
Hey, hello, hi, welcome back. I'm Quinn the GM. Welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be ranking all of the A Song of Ice and Fire dragons. I believe this tier list has them all. There are 29 by my count, so we've got a bit to go through, but I'm a big fan of a lot of these dragons. They're pretty distinct in terms of what they do, their general personalities as they're attributed to them in the history texts and in the main series. Yeah, let's hop in. Fair warning, I'm sure parts of this video are going to have House of the Dragon spoilers. I'm going to try to get through the dragons that wouldn't be spoilers first. So, going through here, Balerion is the first dragon that isn't a House of the Dragon spoiler in my rating for them. Balerion, I'm going to put in a solid A tier. It's a very good historical dragon. It's known as the largest and pretty much best dragon ever. There's not a lot about it in terms of its personality, anything that makes it distinct from other dragons, other than his accomplishments, which are very many. I do really like specifically his story with Arya. I'm a big fan of that. I talked a bit about that in a video forever ago, but that's one of the most interesting tidbits from Fire and Blood in my eyes, as it was something that really hadn't been revealed before, and it really gives insight into an area of the world that we don't really know anything about, which I just absolutely love. Drogon, I think, is the next one. Cannibal, Craxus, Dreamfire, all of this might have spoilers. Drogon, if you saw my character ranking video, you'll know that I'm not a huge Drogon fan. I feel like everyone just keeps saying that he's Balerion come again, and that's about it. That's really not warranted at this point, and without the 5-year time skip, he's not going to be nearly as big as Balerion unless he grows a massive amount in the short amount of time that he would be having between books. So overall, not a huge Drogon fan, plus the name I'm really not a fan of. I don't know why. Certain bad names in A Song of Ice and Fire I really quite like. Dick Crab, for instance, great. But Drogon is just kind of for me and always has been, and I don't really know why. Meraxes is the next one because she died way before the dance. Meraxes will go in B for Ballista because that was what killed her. Very good. Ballista, Ballista. I always say Ballista. My D&D players keep getting on me about that. It's Ballista. I know that. But Meraxes could have been a very cool dragon. Second biggest dragon at the time of the conquest. And yeah, unfortunate that she died, as is the case for many of these dragons. But we'll get into that a bit later. Moondancer, Morgul, Morning, Quicksilver. Quicksilver also died pre-dance. I'm going to put Quicksilver a little higher in C tier, but still in C tier, just because he didn't really do much. He was the dragon of King Aenys, worst name in Targaryen history. And he didn't do much then, and he wasn't very good for his son, as he just died to Balerion, and that was pretty much it. Cool name, though. I am biased in favor of Q names for fairly obvious reasons. Oh, hello, Harry. Sorry, my cat is now hanging out with me, so if you hear any meowing or sudden sprinting, know that it's not me here. Hey, buddy. Okay, what's the next non-Hot D dragon? That's Rhaegal. Rhaegal, I'm going to say top of B, above Meraxes. Bonus points for killing Quentin, because I'm not a huge Quentin fan. His chapters in Dance for me seemed a little almost redundant. I think that his story could have been kind of fine if he were not a point of view character. And also, it makes me self-conscious about looking like a frog since it's another almost my name. But that's mostly joking. But yeah, no, Rhaegal, pretty good. Better than Drogon for sure, but not my favorite of Daenerys' current dragons. All of these are dance dragons. Tyraxes, I actually had to Google when I was first looking at this tier list because I couldn't really place what Tyraxes was or when it was from. I think it's actually Terrax, if I recall, if the wiki is correct. And this is the dragon from Old Valyria. This is actually the oldest dragon on this list. I don't think it survived the Doom. And I think he and his rider explored Sithorios, and that's where all the studies in the World of Ice and Fire on Sithorios come from, which is quite interesting. I'm going to put Taraxes top of B tier just for the sake of adding to the histories that much. I was expecting to put him in D tier because I just don't really know anything about him, but yeah, pretty good. Last dragon that's not in the dance, that's after the dance. We really don't know much about it. It will probably be in Fire and Blood Part 2. I'm going to say bottom of C tier because it was tiny and lame. Great. Vermax, Vermithor, Vagar, Viserion, last non-spoiler dragon. Viserion is going to go in A tier as well. I love the colors. The white and gold is super cool, especially with the fire being white and gold, implying it's like super hot, more hot than the other dragon's fire. I think white is the hottest kind of fire. I'm not sure on that. I'm not a chemist or whatever field of study fire falls under. I don't really know. I think chemistry. That sounds right. I'm a humanities guy. This is not, fake science is not my forte. But yeah, no, Viserion also makes you remember Viserys, my favorite king, Viserys II. I also like both Viserys quite a lot from the show, specifically Viserys I. He's a great character in Season 1 of Hot D. And I like to think that all of the Viseryses live on in Viserion, which is, it's really nice to see that name kind of reused. So, going on to the Dragons from the Dance, I realize I could very much have already talked about Arax because Arax has already died in the dance and it's no longer a spoiler. I'm still kind of surprised by that. I thought they were going to end Season 1 with Viserys' death, and I was really happy they went to the Battle over Storm's End, or if you can call it a battle. But yeah, no, Arax is going to go right under Quicksilver, a similar circumstance in that didn't really do much, just died to a much bigger and cooler dragon. Cannibal's going to go at the top of A tier. Cannibal's really mysterious, really cool. I love the supposed detail added, I think, from Mushroom's testimony that he flew over Corlys's funeral. That's really neat. Makes me think that they might have had some abstract connection in some degree or another. Otherwise, Corlys was just respected by this large creature. It's really cool to see. Plus, the idea of a dragon being super old and perhaps bigger than any of the others and eating other dragons is really cool. I really hope it remains in the show. If I did think a dragon was going to be cut from the show, I think the Cannibal might be on the chopping block because he doesn't really do much outside of kill some dragon seeds. But yeah, no. Continuing right along. Caraxes, first S tier of the list. Fantastic dragon, fierce, really great in battle. Great riders all around. Aemon was really cool, as is Daemon. I almost got those names mixed up, but that is the correct order of them. Went out like a champion. I won't get into a ton of that because I know I already give a spoiler warning, but in case anybody's still watching, I don't want to give that away for anybody who hasn't seen it. Caraxes is great, and I love his design in the show, specifically how it just gives life to the idea of the Bloodworm, which is just a nickname in the books given how fierce he is, but other than that, it didn't really have any kind of actual logistics to it. Actually making him very snake-like, worm-like in the show was absolutely inspired, and I love his back wings as well. It's really cool. Dreamfire is our first D tier. I don't really think Dreamfire does much other than dying in the dragon pit, though Dreamfire is super old, and I'm surprised that she was not involved in more conflicts than she was. I kind of wish that she had been involved in more because I think she would have been really cool to see in battle. Actually, you know what? I'm going to move Dreamfire up to C just because of the theory that the dragon eggs that Daenerys hatches are her dragon eggs. I like that theory a lot, and it lends more character and importance to Dreamfire as a whole in the story. Grey Ghost, it's going to go just under Dreamfire as well. Just kind of lives on Dragonstone, gets killed by Sunfire, if I recall. That's about all I remember. And eaten by Sunfire, if I recall. Good on Sunfire. Meleys is another A tier, probably above Viserion. Goes out like an absolute champion, as does her rider. That's the case for a lot of these dragons. And Meleys just has a really interesting character about her being the fastest dragon ever, though a bit slower in her old age, which is kind of cool to see the dragons aging. And I think her aging specifically does kind of speak to the decay of dragons generally, because her process of aging is described much quicker than the aging of any other dragon, specifically Vagar, which we'll get to. Moondancer is going to go top of B tier for me. Moondancer is really cool, specifically for being able to go toe-to-toe with Sunfire, given the fact that Moondancer is significantly younger than Sunfire. Really, really impressive from Moondancer. Morgul, I believe, is one of the baby dragons killed in the dragon pit. Cool name, little else. So that's just going to go in D tier because we don't really know much about Morgul. I think that was one of the dragons of Aegon's kids, but I forget which one of Aegon's kids. I want to say that was Jaehaerys, but I'm probably wrong on that. Mourning, I like quite a lot. Good resolution to the arc of not being able to hatch an egg for Bela, I think it was. I think it was Bela. It was either Rhaena or Bela, and I feel bad that I can't remember which, but I have an issue with remembering which of the twins is which in A Song of Ice and Fire in a lot of cases. Except for Jaime and Cersei, though they're fairly distinct, being point of view characters. Sea Smoke, also going to put in B tier, probably top of B tier, because of just how much cool stuff he gets up to, specifically with Adam of Hull. There's a lot of good there. I just like Adam of Hull as a character a lot, and I think that's kind of rubbing off on Sea Smoke a lot. Speaking of characters rubbing off on their dragons, I quite like Sheepstealer. Sheepstealer is probably going to go right about here as well. I love the detail that Sheepstealer was able to be won over by Nettles feeding them a sheep every day, which was a really cute detail and lends to the bond that they have between them, and I really enjoyed that. And I think that it's really cool that Sheepstealer is one of the few dragons that does survive the dance. I don't know what these emojis are for. I'd never noticed these before. Sorry. I think Shrikos is another dragon that doesn't survive the dragon pit. This is the dragon pit tier because it's not great because they don't really have any characterization besides that. Silverwing is quite good though. I'm going to put Silverwing at the very top of B because Silverwing is pretty neat. I love Good Queen Alysanne, as all people should, and her detail of not being able to fly over the wall is super interesting, as is the potentiality of her leaving clutches of eggs at Winterfell or at the wall, both of which could have very cool implications for Jon in the future, or the Waking Dragons from Stone prophecy that Melisandre has been repeating for however long she's been in the story, well over 2 decades at this point. Stormcloud, I'm just at a Dragon Pit tier because it wasn't in the Dragon Pit, but it might as well have been. Did good by making Aegon III survive because he was a pretty good king, and I think without him, the realm would have been much worse off. So thank you, Stormcloud. Sunfire is another S tier dragon. Do I put him above Caraxes? Do I? I think I do. Sunfire does more than Caraxes does, at least in the war. And I'm pretty impressed by that, given the fact that he just kind of takes a licking, keeps on ticking, as my mama always said. He gets really beat up throughout the war, as does his rider, but he is still able to best, I think, 3 dragons in combat, which is incredible compared to a lot of the other dragons. Syrax, also going in Dragon Pit tier, dies in the Dragon Pit, does not do anything in the entire war, despite being the dragon of the Queen. When compared to Sunfire, who's the dragon of the other claimant during this conflict, who does a ton, Syrax does nothing. This is an area in which I am very excited to see if the show improves, because I think there's a lot of room for improvement there. Tessarion is the top of S tier. That's just not going to change. Tessarion is my favorite dragon. Blue Queen, such a cool name. The blue fire, the blue scales, it's awesome. I love Daeron, and I love the two of them together particularly. And I love that the two of them are on a different front of the Dance of the Dragons than pretty much all of the other dragons, as they're in the Westerlands and the Reach, and they're very much kind of doing their own thing. And it shows just how essential one dragon, even one young dragon, can be to any conflict, as Daeron proves invaluable to the Green Cause during the campaigns in the West, which is really awesome. Tessarion is my favorite dragon, and I am super excited to see her in the show. Also, being able to team up with Sea Smoke and take down another dragon on this list, who we haven't gotten to yet, is just absolutely awesome. Tyraxes, Dragon Pit tier. This is, I think, Joffrey's dragon, if I recall. And it very much sounds like a toddler named it, because it just sounds like a T-Rex. But, yeah, no. Not terrible, I guess. Wish we'd seen it grow up. Vermax is Jace's dragon, dies via some crossbow bolts. Not the best, below Dreamfire, I would say. Another dragon we do not know a ton about. But these last two we do know a ton about, and I'm very excited to rank them. Vermithor, I think, is going to go top of A tier, above the Cannibal. I'm a big fan of Vermithor. I think that the old king very much lent a good time to this dragon, and the fact that he didn't really see conflict during the Old King's rule, except during the Fourth Dornish War, as everyone in my video on Vermithor reminded me. I think it was a good mark that he was able to get through all of that unscathed and play a big part in the Dance of the Dragons. Though I will point out that the Fourth Dornish War literally just involved 3 dragons burning some ships and pretty much nothing else, so I do not count that as any real battle experience for Vermithor, because there really wasn't any threat to that at all. But yeah, no, I love the design in the show too. They recently revealed like the full design in some art book, and I really like it. You can really tell how old he is, similar to Vagar, who we'll get to here in a minute. And I really love the pattern of his wings as well. It's kind of like weirdly crescent shaped. It's really interesting. I love it a lot. Last but certainly not least is Vagar, who's going in the second place slot on this list. She was able to gain a ton of personality in the show. I really love that. They're really able to show off her age, which is fantastic. You can really get the sense of how massive this dragon is, especially compared to the baby Aemond who initially rides her. It's just really, really well done in the show and in the books as well. It's just such a storied dragon, and she really is just so cool, and I really like her. And I would be remiss to not mention that my most popular video of all time is about Vagar, so that might be a little bit of bias on my part towards Vagar. Oh, hello, Harry. Sorry, Harry's just sitting here and hanging out again. My sister named him after Harry Styles, but I am going to say I named him after Harold Westerling because that's better, I think. Yeah, great. So thank you all very much for watching. I really appreciate this. This is just a bonus video for this week. I should have a new video fully edited and everything up on Sunday, if I had to guess. That'll be the video on Sam and Old Town, which I very much encourage you to check out. It should be a fun one. I'm quite excited for it, as that is what won the poll that I did on the community tab. Yeah, thank you all for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, let me know your favorite dragon in the description below. I'd love to hear it. I love to hear people's opinions on this stuff, especially when it's something as trivial as which dragon is your favorite, because that mostly comes down to aesthetics, which is very fair. Tessarion is the best. I will see you all on Sunday.
I was going to put some outro music here, but I'm afraid of the YouTube gods striking me down for my hubris, so I apologize. I don't really know what to say here. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for indulging this video I made while procrastinating writing a lesson about the Bill of Rights for my history class that I'm teaching tomorrow. Peace.